found out about the cruise from a notification on my phone, not from my son, not from my daughter-in-law, from an app. It was a sunny Tuesday morning. I was having my second cup of coffee, scrolling through my social media to see pictures of my friends' gardens and their grandchildren. And then, there it was, a post from my daughter-in-law, Jessica. The picture was beautiful, a stunning, sparkling white ship against a turquoise sea. The caption read, "So excited, counting down the days until our first ever family cruise. 7 days of sun, sand, and making memories with our favorite people." I stared at it. My first feeling was a surge of happy surprise. A cruise! How wonderful for them! My grandson Liam would love the pools, the adventure. I felt that familiar warm squeeze of joy I always felt for their happiness. And then, the second feeling arrived. It came slowly, like a cloud moving across the sun. It was a cold trickle of confusion. Our first ever family cruise. I read the words again. I looked at the picture. I clicked on it, zoomed in, as if I might find myself there, a tiny speck on one of the decks. I hadn't heard a word about this, not a whisper. I scrolled through the comments. Friends had written, "How amazing! You deserve it. Liam will have a blast." My son Ben had commented with a simple, "Can't wait," with a smiley face. My finger hovered over the comment box. What could I say? "Looks lovely. When did you plan this?" That sounded nosy. "Wish I'd known." That sounded pathetic. So I did what I'd been trained to do. I pressed the little heart icon. I liked the photo. I gave my digital approval to a family vacation I knew nothing about. A vacation that, by its very definition, did not include me. I put the phone down on the kitchen table. The coffee tasted bitter now. The sunny kitchen felt suddenly very quiet and very, very large. I was the favorite people in no one's caption. They had booked a family cruise, and they had forgotten to tell me. The not telling was the message. It was louder than any invitation could ever be. For as long as I could remember, my family lived around a table. Not a fancy one. A big oak farmhouse table that my husband Gerald had refinished himself before he passed. It had dings and scratches and stains that told our history. A dark ring from where Ben, at 6, had set a wet clay pot from school, a long scratch from a frantic Christmas Eve present wrapping session. That table was the heart of our home. It's where Gerald and I drank coffee and dreamed about the future. It's where Ben did his homework, grumbling about math. It's where we celebrated birthdays with slightly lopsided cakes. It's where we held each other's hands the night we told Ben his father was gone. The table held our joy, our grief, our ordinary precious life. After Gerald died, the table felt too big for just Ben and me, but we still used it every night. It was our rule, no eating in front of the TV. We would sit and we would talk. Or sometimes we would just sit in a comfortable quiet, missing Gerald together. I worked as a school secretary. It wasn't a glamorous job, but it gave me holidays and summers with Ben. We didn't have much for fancy vacations. Our adventures were camping trips in a rusty old tent or mystery drives where we'd pick a direction and see where we ended up. Our wealth wasn't in passports. It was in time, in presence. Ben met Jessica in college. She was vibrant, organized, full of plans. She came from a family that took vacations, cruises, all-inclusive resorts, European tours. The first time she came to our house for dinner, she looked at our worn, beloved table and said, "What a charming rustic piece." She said it kindly, but I heard the word rustic. I knew it meant old and not sleek in her world. But Ben loved her, and I loved anyone who made my serious boy laugh. When they got married, I gave them what I could. Not money for a down payment, but the gift of time. I babysat Liam from the time he was a baby so Jessica could go back to work. I was the reliable one, the safe harbor. Our family expanded, but the table remained the center. Holidays were here. Sunday dinners were here. Jessica would bring sophisticated dishes from food blogs. I would make Gerald's famous mashed potatoes. It was a blend. It worked. Liam's high chair, then his booster seat, was pulled right up to the old oak. He was the newest chapter in its story. I thought we had found a new rhythm, a modern, blended family rhythm. They had their sleek, clean-lined home. I had my cozy, memory-filled one, and the table was the bridge between the two worlds. The promise was in the rituals. "We'll always do Christmas Eve at Grandma's," Ben had said, ruffling Liam's hair. It was an unspoken contract. I provided the anchor, the continuity. In return, I got a seat at the table. I was part of the family unit. I believed that. I believed my role was secure. I was Grandma, the planner of birthday parties, the keeper of traditions, the one who always had gingerbread cookies and a listening ear. I wasn't just a relative. I was infrastructure. Then, slowly, the infrastructure began to be renovated, and no one gave the foreman the blueprints. It started with the calendar. Jessica was a calendar wizard. She had a color-coded digital family calendar that synced to everyone's phones. In the beginning, I was on it. Liam DR appoint, dinner at Mom's, family picnic. Then one Thursday, I showed up for my regular afternoon with Liam. I used my key, the one they'd given me for emergencies that had become a weekly pass, and let myself in. The house was empty. No Liam, no Jessica. I called Ben. "Oh, Mom, I'm sorry," he said, his voice distracted. "Didn't Jess update the calendar? Liam has a new soccer clinic on Thursdays now." "No," I said, standing alone in their quiet kitchen. "It wasn't on my calendar." "You have to check the shared one, Mom. We talked about this. The paper one on your fridge is, well, things change too fast." The paper calendar on my fridge, where I'd carefully written Liam time in my neat script, was now obsolete. A relic. I was expected to check a digital calendar on my phone, a calendar I often forgot to look at because my life wasn't that color-coded or busy. I learned to check it, but I felt like a student constantly trying to catch up on homework I hadn't been assigned. Events would pop up. Jess work dinner, Ben business trip, Liam sleepover at Eli's. My entries, dinner here, or planting day with Liam, would often sit there, unacknowledged, and then quietly disappear when the day passed. The invitations began to change shape. Instead of "come for dinner on Sunday," it became "what does your Sunday look like?" This sounded considerate, but it was a subtle shift. It put the onus on me to initiate, to insert myself into their schedule. If I didn't speak up, the day would silently fill with other color-coded blocks. One Sunday, I gathered my courage. "My Sunday is open," I texted the family group chat. "Would love to see you all." The reply from Jessica came quickly. "Oh, today's crazy. We're prepping for Liam's school project. Maybe next weekend." Next weekend came. "So sorry, promised Liam we'd finally try that new trampoline park." The weekend after that, Ben was away for work. The table at my house sat empty. I would still cook, out of habit. A small roast, a tray of vegetables. I'd eat one portion and pack the rest away. The containers stacking up in my fridge like little monuments to my unused hospitality. When we did get together, the conversation had a new rhythm. It was a download of their busy, fascinating lives. The cruise conversation started here, in snippets. "The Richardsons just got back from the Caribbean," Jessica would say, scrolling through her phone. "Look at this water. Doesn't it look incredible?" "Oh, one day," Ben would sigh, a smile in his voice. "We should really start thinking about it," Jess would press. "Liam is at the perfect age. These are the memories that matter." I would nod, smiling. "It looks beautiful." In my mind, I saw us all there. Me in a sun hat, watching Liam splash in the pool. Ben and Jessica having a romantic dinner while I happily entertained my grandson. I was writing myself into the script of their dream. Then, the talk became more specific. "I was looking at this one line," Jessica said one evening, showing Ben her tablet. "The kids' club is supposed to be amazing. And look at this suite." "A suite?" Ben whistled. "That's a big commitment, Jess." "It's for the experience, Ben. For family." The word family hung in the air. I was sitting right there, but I felt like I was listening to a planning committee for a club I assumed I was a member of. No one turned to me and said, "What do you think, Mom?" No one said, "Could you see yourself on a ship, Mom?" The conversation flowed around me. I told myself I was being silly. Of course they would include me. When the time came to book, they'd ask. Maybe they wanted to surprise me with it all arranged. That would be like Jessica, efficient and generous. My job was to be the cheerful, supportive grandma, not the needy mother inserting herself. So I cheered them on. "It sounds like a wonderful idea," I'd say. "Liam would remember it forever." I was the audience for their dream. I didn't realize I wasn't in the cast. The final clue should have been the passports. A month before I saw the photo, Jessica mentioned offhandedly, "I finally got all our passports renewed. What a nightmare of paperwork." "All our?" I asked. "Oh, me, Ben, and Liam's. Got his first one. The photo is adorable." She showed me the photo. My sweet grandson, looking solemn and official. I cooed over it. It never occurred to me to ask, "And mine? Do I need to renew mine soon?" I had fitted myself so neatly into the role of the supportive bystander that I had forgotten I might need a ticket to get on the ship. They hadn't forgotten. They had just never booked one for me. So when I saw the picture, the pieces clicked together with a terrible final sound. The specific cruise line research, the passport renewal, the excited private conversations that never quite included a direct question for me. They had booked it. They had paid for it. They were going.
and I was finding out via a public social media post. I sat with the knowledge for a full day. I waited, stupidly, for the phone to ring, for Ben to say, "Mom, saw you liked the photo. We've been meaning to tell you it just came together so fast." For an explanation, however flimsy, for an afterthought invitation, even if it was too late and too expensive for me to accept, the invitation wasn't the point. The consideration was the point. The call never came. 2 days later, I couldn't stand the silence. I called Ben. I tried to keep my voice light, casual. "Hey, honey, saw that beautiful cruise picture online. It looks amazing." "Oh, yeah," he said, his voice bright with genuine excitement. "Just found an incredible deal. We just went for it. We're so pumped." A pause. I waited. "It's for all of you?" I asked, the question hanging there, naked and vulnerable. "Yep, just the three of us. A real core family trip, you know?" Core family. The word was a bullet. "I see," I said, my voice small. "Well, I'm so happy for you. Really." "Thanks, Mom. Liam's already counting down the days." And that was it. No, "We wish you could come." No, "Maybe next time." No, "We thought about you." But just the cheerful confirmation that I was not part of the core family. I was peripheral, optional. The worst part was yet to come. The following Sunday they came for dinner. A hastily arranged dinner, I suspect out of a twinge of guilt. We sat at my old oak table. Liam chattered about the cruise, about the water slides, the kids' club. "Grandma, I'm going to see real fish in the ocean," he said, with his eyes wide. "You will, my love. You'll have the best time," I said, pouring more gravy on his potatoes, my hand steady. Jessica was especially cheerful. "You'll have to hold down the fort while we're gone, Ellen. Water my plants?" "Of course," I said, smiling. "It's just," she continued, sipping her wine, "we felt like we needed this. Just us. No extended family, no obligations, just pure, focused family time. You understand, right?" She looked at me. Ben looked at his plate. Liam munched on a roll. I looked at her, then at my son, then at my grandson. I looked at the table that had held all of us, that had defined our family for decades. "I understand," I said softly. And I did. I understood perfectly. The message was no longer in the forgotten telling. It was now in the deliberate, spoken explanation. I was the extended family. I was the obligation. They needed a vacation from the very idea of me. The meal continued. We talked about the weather. We talked about Liam's school. We cleaned up together. They hugged me goodbye at the door. "Love you, Mom," Ben said. "Love you too," I whispered. I closed the door. I leaned my back against it and slid down to sit on the floor in the silent, empty hallway. I didn't cry. I just felt a vast, hollow space open up inside my chest. The anchor of the table was gone. It was just a piece of old furniture. I had been gently, politely, and definitively removed from the core family portrait, and the cruise was just the frame they'd chosen to hang it in. The weeks leading up to their departure were a special kind of torture. Every interaction was tinted with the unspoken truth. I helped Liam pack his little suitcase. I listened to Jessica's detailed itinerary. I nodded as Ben showed me the ship's map on his laptop. I performed my role flawlessly, the supportive, unjealous, understanding grandma. Inside, I was seasick on dry land. The day they left, I drove them to the airport. I hugged Liam extra tight. "Bring me back a shell, my brave sailor." "I will, Grandma." I hugged Jessica. "Have a wonderful time." I hugged Ben last. He held me a second longer. "We'll call when we can, Mom." "Don't worry about me," I said, the practice line falling easily from my lips. "Just have fun." I watched them walk into the terminal, a neat, excited unit of 3. Then I drove back to my silent house. For the first 2 days, I moped. I felt sorry for myself. I checked my phone compulsively, not for a call, but for the photos I knew they'd post. And they did. Pictures of them at the airport, on the plane, standing on the deck with matching drinks, Liam grinning in a life jacket. Every photo was a tiny puncture in my heart. On the 3rd day, my sister Claire called. "Are you wallowing?" she asked, point blank. "Maybe," I admitted. "Stop it," she said, not unkindly. "They're on a boat. You're on land. Start acting like it." She was right. The cruise was their choice. My choice was what to do with the empty space it highlighted. I started small. I didn't water Jessica's plants. I called a neighborhood kid and paid him to do it. It was a tiny rebellion, but it felt significant. I was relinquishing a duty. Then I did something radical. I called a few friends from my old school district, women I'd lost touch with because I was always too busy with the family. We met for lunch. We laughed. We talked about things that had nothing to do with grandchildren. I remembered my own name, Ellen, not just Mom, not just Grandma, Ellen. I signed up for a lecture series at the local library on oceanography. It felt ironically fitting. If I couldn't see the ocean with them, I would learn about it for myself. When they called, on a spotty satellite connection, I listened to their excited stories. Liam's voice, tinny and far away, telling me about a dolphin. "That's magical, sweetheart," I said, and I meant it. My joy for him was real, separate now from my pain for myself. "How are you, Mom?" Ben asked. "I'm good," I said, and for the first time, it wasn't a complete lie. "I'm keeping busy." When they returned, sunburned and full of stories, the dynamic had shifted. Not with them, but within me. I listened to their tales. I looked at 1,000 photos. I oohed and awed in all the right places. But I did not ask, why wasn't I there? The question had dissolved. I had my answer. A few weeks later, Jessica was planning again. She said, "I'm thinking about next summer, maybe a mountain cabin." I just smiled. "That sounds lovely." Ben looked at me, a question in his eyes. He was starting to sense the change in me, the quiet withdrawal. One afternoon, he stayed behind after Jessica and Liam went home. "Mom, about the cruise, it wasn't that we didn't want you." "I know, Ben," I said, stopping him. "It was a core family trip. You needed that. I understand."
My voice was calm, final. There was no bitterness in it, just a simple statement of fact. He looked relieved, and then, strangely, a little sad. I think he missed the old version of me, the one who would have been subtly hurt, the one whose disappointment he could manage. This new, accepting version was harder for him to navigate. I had stopped trying to be part of their inner circle. I was settling into my new orbit, close enough to be loving,
far enough to be free. That was last year. The cruise photo is still somewhere in my phone, buried under pictures of my garden blooms and my book club selections. My relationship with Ben, Jessica, and Liam is polite. It is loving, but it has boundaries now. Boundaries they drew with a cruise itinerary, and that I have reinforced with my own quiet life. We have dinners, but less often. I am a beloved guest in their home, and they are welcome guests in mine. The old oak table is still here, but it no longer defines my family. It's just where I eat my meals, sometimes with them, often alone, sometimes with friends. I learned something from being the forgotten one. I learned that you cannot make someone include you. You can only decide how you will stand on the shore while their ship sails away. You can weep and wave until you're a speck to them, or you can turn around and look at the land you're standing on, the land of your own making. I'm planning a trip now, not a cruise, a small tour of gardens in the English countryside, with Claire. No one is forgetting to tell me about it. I'm the one booking the tickets. Liam is older now. He still comes over. Last week he was looking at a world map on my tablet. "Grandma, where would you go if you could go anywhere?" I pointed to a spot in England. "Here, I think, to see these very old, very beautiful gardens." "Can I come?" he asked, his small voice hopeful. I smiled, a real unburdened smile. "Maybe when you're a little older, my love. That can be our trip." He liked that. "Our trip," he repeated, nodding. There will be other cruises in their future, other core family adventures. And that's okay. My adventure is different. It's quieter. It's about rediscovering the person I was before I was someone's mom, someone's grandma. That person likes gardening lectures and bad mystery novels and quiet mornings with coffee. They booked a family cruise and forgot to tell me. And in that forgetting, they accidentally gave me a gift. They gave me back to myself. The itinerary is mine now, and the destination, whatever it is mine to choose.